Welcome to Longevity Industries' presentation of the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast. I'm your host, Dean Phillips. I'd like to thank our sponsors, the Precision Metal Forming Association and the PMA's Educational Foundation, for all of their help. I have with me today George Moran, and he comes to us from Flex and Gate, where he is the corporate stamping engineer. Welcome, George.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here today, sir. So right off the bat, what big changes do you see coming down the road?
In my industry, I work primarily with the presses and robotics and transfer. So a lot of the things that are going to change a lot is the implementation of I 4.0, because we don't have the workforce to troubleshoot and sustain the equipment. So mostly I think we're going to be looking more for the equipment to tell us what is wrong, and so we can schedule the repairs instead of having the normal amount of workforce to be able to take care of that for us.
Great. So how long till we see the day when they fix themselves?
I don't think that. I mean, I can't say that. I was going to say I can't see that happening soon, but you never know. I see them scheduling the repairs themselves. I need, my bearing is too hot. I have too much vibration, things of that nature. And you have this many hours until I'm going to shut down, and you're not going to be able to schedule it. Is what's going to happen, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a crazy world now that we live in. So tell me about your background. Tell me how you got to where you are today.
So I'm a third generation technician. My grandfather worked in a facility that made military equipment. And then my father was a precision and heavy millwright by trade. So I tried a couple little jobs when I was young. And then when I was about 15, my father started teaching me electrical. That was my first training. And then I went into the apprenticeship with the millwrights.
Yeah.
And I started, my first job I ever worked on was a BP gas refinery by Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I went into big gas. So we had the gas explosion of trade and jobs for a while.
Right.
So I welded. I became a pipe welder and pipe fitter, like welded pipe by trade, but I was still a millwright. So I handled the rigging, the pipe installation, the welding. And then from there, I went to nuclear, and then that's when I started my real supervision and everything. I was very young when I became a supervisor. I was 23 or 24.
Wow. Great job.
So I went into building another large gas plant. It was the largest one in the United States at the time in Scio, Ohio. And while I was there, I was made into a general foreman, and I helped preside over 900 employees while I was there. And then I became a traveling tradesman, and that's how I got into presses. I was subcontracted to Alcoa in Ohio, where they have the Mesta 6,000-ton press, and they have several other huge presses.
Right.
And that became my love affair with presses, and that's where I've been ever since.
Yeah,
I went from there to hot forming. Oops, sorry.
I was going to say, once that tooling oil gets in your veins, you never get it out.
No, that is for sure.
Yeah. And then, I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
And from forging, aerospace and defense forging, I moved into automotive, where I worked at one of the largest hot forming plants in the world. Mm-hmm. They currently have 12 hot forming lines now. And from there, I went to Schuler, where I built presses and repaired presses and troubleshot and ran jobs and things of that nature.
Right.
And I stayed there for about 4 years, and now I went and became a automotive manager, which is what I do now.
Great. That's fantastic. Well, we need more people like yourself to get into the industry. It needs talent. And I think it's something that we need to look at, of developing that talent. How do you see that?
I agree with that.
How do you see going about that?
So you've probably seen my post on LinkedIn. I'm adamant about the apprenticeship and just training and things of that nature.
Right.
One of the things that I think our biggest problem is the hurdle into getting into, like, if you want to be a tradesperson, now they have what they call mechatronics, where they want you to learn everything and be the master of some of the stuff, and you're not really a tradesman. You're kind of an everything.
Right.
I think what we should do is bring back a real apprenticeship where you have 4 years in one trade, and you could go to do something else when you're done, but you need to really learn how to be that one thing. I went from millwright to welder to electrical now. Now I'm doing PLC, but each thing I really took the time to really learn and understand how the thing works and become a reliable person to the company. So I think we need to bring back a real apprenticeship and give, like, let's say 18-year-old kid walks in the door and he really wants to be a whatever, electrician, a tool and die maker. But there's such a high entry to becoming that because of the different ways we go about it these days.
Right. Yeah. And how do you feel that technology fits into that picture? How do we utilize technology to basically educate people in a better way?
So in Germany, I've worked for a lot of German companies, and what they're doing now is like the apprenticeship. A lot of times you can't work on the floor all the time or build the new project because there's a deadline and they don't have time, but they have VR training now with like a Steam headset or a Sony headset, and they're actually learning how to do the repairs and hit the bushing and stuff virtually, how to shrink a bearing and things of that nature.
That's something that, like, for me, I believe that we can do an awful lot with that technology to help people, whether it's AR or VR, but help the technicians that we have to get them up to speed, because when you start, you don't know everything, and even after years there's things you don't know.
I learned something new today, so that's true.
There you go. See, and you need to have people that kind of have a network of communication. And I think if you can utilize AR, first of all, let's say you got a bearing noise and it's not something you know what it is, maybe you can bring somebody in an AR environment rather than having to wait 2 weeks for this person to come out and do everything. Maybe we can utilize technology to help that ramp up speed of education get to where we need it to be.
I fully agree with that.
And have you guys started kind of your travel of the industry 4.0?
So at Flex and Gate, they're just starting to get into that aspect. They have, everyone knows the history of Flex and Gate with Schad and inventing the way the bumper is made and all of those things. But so they've acquired a number of plants, some of them older, but now he's built brand new plants, like our beautiful facility in Detroit, which has brand new transfer presses and things of that nature. So some of the technology is a lot further ahead in some of the plants than the other. So we're going to start working on that soon. And like when I was at Schuler and Gestamp, we had the AR for, like, Ford has a problem. They have a set of glasses and we had a set of glasses, and we could work with their technician and just circle what we need them to do, put the drawing onto their headset and things of that nature.
And how did that work?
Oh, it was amazing. Or when I'd get sent somewhere to a machine I've never seen before, and everyone likes to think they can just look at something and know everything, but there's a steep learning curve if you've never worked on the machine is unique and have never seen it before. So I had a direct link to our engineering managers, specialist in Germany, specialist in Brazil, that could, like, I could be online with the guy that made the machine assisting me. And he, right there in my head, I can see the drawing. I can see exactly where he wants me to look.
And
so it was fantastic.
And that's one of those areas too, that when you think about it, it opens up so many other doors, because that one person that's in Brazil now, it would be very difficult for them to travel from place to place to place to be able to go out and say, you need to check on this and then go over here and do things. This way you can be, they always say, you can't be in two places at one time. No, but with AR, you can service more than one place at one time. You can't be there, but there's new technology all the time for expanding that.
That is for sure.
Have you found that this has helped you in other areas, like some of the other smart technologies, like looking at, hey, can we use more robotics, or can we use additive in our plant, and some of the other smart technologies?
So at my previous employer, we implemented a lot of that into every machine, where you could actually take the analytics for the day from like, let's say a 6-press tandem line. It'll tell you where your bottleneck is in the machine, which part of the machine is the slowest, then you could go to that and see where it's slow, and then you could come up with your plan from there. Like if you have like a one robot destacker and it's not moving fast enough for you, then it'll basically show you where you need to add like more automation and things of that nature.
And what kind of results did you find that led you to, as far as improvements and less downtime, more production?
Always more production. Not always less downtime, because if something's going to fail, it's going to fail still, because you still have to put the human element into it, implementing it with the teams and the learning curve and things of that nature. But the downtime we were able to really hone in on and tackle, and for like production related and more. So we had a line that was running 14-second cycles. It was a tandem line, and we were able to use the technology from Siemens and Beckhoff for the Industry 4.0, and we were able to take that from 14 seconds to a 9-second cycle time in the line. Wow. Just using the data that the machine already has, but you have to use it to populate it somewhere where you can actually analyze it.
Right.
So modern machines have all this information. You just have to take it from it. You have to send it to wherever you're using Piranha or a Beckhoff homepage or something like that. Or Allen Bradley, I've seen, has some things now.
Right.
But all you have to do is put it together, and all the information is there for you.
That's great. Did you find too that the visual communication helps you to get your message out to people, to where, let's say, just saying something, well, we're going to save this, or here's where the problem is, and you could see it, but by visually showing somebody it's in the red, even for people that don't understand what you're showing them as far as analytics goes, simple visual representations, do you find that helps convey the message better?
Oh, for sure. One of my favorite things to do is to put a big monitor at the operator's area with the I4.0 dashboard on it.
Right.
So you could just walk somebody up to the line and just big red or green, and just they can get the idea right from not even having to know what it's doing or anything, if it's good or bad.
Right. I think that's, if you can benchmark and set where, hey, this is where we want to try to get to, and this is what we want to achieve, even for people that don't understand all of the processes or all the things that are integrated in coming up with improvements, they can see it and instantaneously understand, hey, this is making a difference. This is trending us in a positive direction.
Correct. Like, let's say you take a hydraulic press and you want it to be making 200 parts per hour, or whatever your stroke rate you need for the plant. And you make your dashboard line 1 through 6, and then you can show them how far away from that you actually are. And then from there, in the background, pump 1 on press 1 is only 30 gallons per minute when it should be 45 and things like that. You could actually show them why it's slow and what needs fixed.
Yeah. In my time with Link Systems, we've, and we do the same kind of thing, do monitoring and the boards and all that kind of stuff. But the one biggest thing that I've always found that was in the value of information is when there's a problem and you describe it to somebody, they're like, yeah, okay. But information that is in a just verbalized, oh, well, we need to move this machine because the fork trucks can't get in there. When you can show them the change and show them the before and after of making that move, it changes the way that they think about it. Then it's easier to convince them of, hey, this is the right change to make. Did you find that to be the case?
Oh, definitely. If you have a program where you could actually show them if you make this movement, and again, I'm press, so I'm going to use press example.
Sure.
Let's say you move the robot 10 inches to the right, you'll be able to destack. You were destacking at 7 seconds, but now you're at 4.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can physically show them that, like in a simulation, before even ever having to move the machine or anything like that, that's sorry, I lost my train of thought. So you can show them instantly, this is what you're going to do, this is how it's going to work, and there's no argument with you then.
Right. Do you think that there's a greater opportunity for things like that, for using simulation and, like, for instance, doing 3D modeling and then also integrating it into VR so that you can analyze it to where, hey, I'm going to make this change, or I'm going to change the way people handle the parts. And if you can illustrate it in a 3D modeling experience, that those kinds of things are easier to convey your message also?
I haven't done it before, but thinking about it just now, if you can show, like, even just like the part handling at the end of the line by hand or by robot,
mm-hmm.
if you could stand there using the AR or the VR and they can physically see the difference, well, actually at the machine using a 3D model, that'd be amazing.
Right. I just think there's so many more opportunities now to do that kind of immersive, experiential learning, that for us to look forward 5 years, I can see where more and more people are going to be taking advantage of it. Because if you shut down a line right now, let's say you're running a press line, you shut it down for 4 or 5 hours to do something, to test something, that can really cripple production. But if I do it in a VR world and I can illustrate the same thing, it saves you cost and time, money, loss of downtime from trying to test these new projects out. Do you see more opportunities now in additive becoming more a part of your manufacturing?
Oh, for sure. We use a lot of different simulation software currently to, let's say, the stroke of the servo press, the stroke or the transfer curve, the coil line, and things like that. We make all the changes offline before we go and test them. Sometimes you have to tweak them a little bit sometimes for real world instances, because the press isn't perfect anymore and things of that. But I could see that being used for all sorts of things. Let's say you wanted to take your mechanical press and convert it to a servo press, like using an ABB direct drive or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to do that offline to show the return on investment is like a perfect instance of being able to, for the justification of the simulation software cost. And
right. When you look at things like additive and doing like the actual building 3D tools, have you guys done much with that?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Building like tools out of by just running it in a 3D processor. So let's say you're actually going to 3D print a tool that you're going to use, or to use a 3D model to cast your tooling. Are you guys doing any of that kind of stuff now?
No, not that I have. I'm not saying that they're not, maybe at the engineering center, but I have not seen it.
Okay. Yeah. What technologies do you think are going to be the ones that are going to be the most impactful? Do you think it's more on the robots, more on the IoT, the AI?
I think the IoT will be the most impactful because it'll show you what you need. It'll lead the other technologies. It'll lead your new robotics if you need an extra axis on your robot. It'll lead your training. It'll lead your diagnostics. It'll reduce your costs. So I think that'll be at the forefront of everything.
Great. Do you think that will help us to attract some of the younger people into that technology is something that they want to see when they're coming in and saying, well, I'm thinking about coming into this job, and then seeing that you're utilizing, IoT and you're utilizing AR and VR, that helps to attract more of a workforce that's on the younger side now?
Oh, for sure. A lot of the times, like, I attempt to recruit people to come apply, like on LinkedIn and places like that, and they want to be at Google or Tesla or something where they data analytics, computer programming things.
Right.
But so if you show them that we have that here, we have the IoT, we have the Siemens, the Rockwell. You can deep dive into the signals from the machine all day long. You don't have to get dirty to be in the automotive industry.
Right. Yeah, it's I guess a black eye that we have to really work harder to overcome for people that, like, they already have a preconceived notion of what it's going to be like to come and work in automotive or in stamping, that it's a little more work for us, I believe, to get them to believe that, hey, there is jobs that are good paying jobs that are substantial. Have you found that when you're talking to a lot of the people that you're trying to bring on board, that they're looking for a why? Like, why do I want to do this? What's my impact to society?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm 36, so I'm not below my generation. A lot of the times when I talk to somebody, they want to, like, make an impact, have something, what's in it for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I have a lot of that in me too, but they want, like, what is the company going to do for them? If they work for 30 years doing this, what do they get out of it?
Mm-hmm.
The dirty atmosphere is a lot of it. That's only a United States problem, I think, though, the dirty atmosphere, because, like, even in Mexico, the plants are very clean, and England and Germany, very clean plants.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to get around that stigma too and work on that.
Right.
Because
one thing we don't what? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, sometimes some of the plants, the people don't feel very, I don't know, like in the previous conference, they want something out of it, but a lot of times people don't feel like they're making a contribution, so they stop taking care of their work area. Mm-hmm. So we have to give them a reason to care again.
Right. It's a good point. I think, now, do you do a lot of work on your side of it with 5S, or is it just something that you kind of work with kind of by extension of your position?
Sorry, I couldn't hear it. You got out for a second.
5S or Lean or Six Sigma.
Oh, yep. I work on that. We are doing a press upgrade right now for a tandem line, and I help lay out the whole line, and for the Lean, for the robot movement and the packing movement and thing at the end of the line. Six Sigma, I'm not into yet. I'm going to do that this summer.
Great.
Later in the summer. I'm I was signed up for Black Belt 6 Sigma.
Oh, wow. That is fantastic. That's a commitment too.
Yeah, it looks like it. Lean manufacturing has been bred into me since I was young, because everywhere I've worked for huge companies, and lean manufacturing and just in time and everything is a big part of all of that.
Right. Do you think that having that helps to, when you get into 5S, big thing in there is, cleaning up. And I noticed that plants that embrace upgrading their lighting system, I know it sounds very stupid, but just upgrading your lighting system kind of shines a figurative and literal light on problems. So when you have better lighting in the plants, I've found that all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got to clean this place up. Have you seen that work within your plant?
Yes. But the better lighting actually makes people feel better too. Like, it makes them happier at their job. At the plant I'm at now, we're working bay by bay, painting bright white and new LED lighting. I'm not sure what the candela is, but it's pretty bright in there, and you could tell the difference that it makes on the people and how they react to their job just with new lighting.
Right.
Most of our plants are pretty clean already.
Yeah.
I mean, not all. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're pretty. Some of them are really nice.
Good.
I've been in previous lives. I've been in some really bad plants, and I would take any one of ours any day over those.
Right. And if you go into plants that do a lot of forging or hot stamping, there's a lot of times you have slag and that too. That leads to part of the issue in a lot of those types of plants. But I think you hit it on the head, is that painting things white. I can remember years ago when I was at Niagara, there were two colors. It was blue, or you painted it green. That's what the colors were on most of the stamping presses. Then there was a trend to start painting them either a beige color, and people started noticing, hey, there's this leak we need to fix, or there's this that we need to attend to. Just the paint job makes such a huge difference in how people look at the equipment.
Yeah.
And what other things do you think that you can suggest to people, to some of the listeners, to say, hey, here's some things you can do to try and make your plant better over the next 5 years?
So the lighting, the paint, but the really going into listening, because there's like, go talk to if you're the plant manager, plant director, go talk to the operator and really listen to what he has to say about his day-to-day job. Or go just stand in the aisle for 10 minutes and see if there's 4 forklifts in the same spot at the same time. Because that should never happen, but it happens all the time.
Right. No, you're right.
Don't get behind on your repairs, because someone, maybe the guy's going to stop telling you after so long. I hear this noise, I hear this noise, I hear this noise. So no one's listening to me. Okay, the press is down for 3 months now.
Yep. I've seen that myself. I agree.
So a lot of the things is just listen to who you have, but in the productivity aspect, start working on integrating your sensors, integrating your network, so that you can see ahead of time if something's wrong or something's slow. Or Banner makes a nice thing now on the forklift, so the operator is out of blanks and they can just hit a button and the light on the forklift lights up for them. It's not a super smart activity, but it's a wireless technology. Just, hey, I need blanks right now. There's something, just a green visual aid to keep the production flowing.
And that's important. I mean, there's a lot of times that people are using the fork trucks in the wrong way and not utilizing to the best of their ability, because they're not attending to the right things at the right time. Correct.
Yep. Their day is definitely, not everywhere, but their day is definitely not planned very well. Their action, they should have a schedule like everywhere else. They shouldn't be, oh, this is full, let me get that, or oh, let me go check on them. They should, I need to do this, then I need to do this, then I need to do this, and then in an order, because everything takes a certain. This press runs 400 parts per hour. Okay, it takes this long to fill up the bin. So at this time, this bin should be full, and I should be there to get the bin. Then this other machine, same thing.
Right. It's interesting you say that, because one of the companies that I'd worked with, Eaton Corporation, they had put LinkNet on their fork trucks, and it would do is it would give them a time to completion. So there's 15 minutes till this job's done. So they know I've got to be over here because this one's going to be done in 5 minutes. This one's going to be done in 15. I have to be ready to, number one, get rid of the bins that are there, but I also have to get the next tool for that job. So it's information is going to be really huge, I think, over the next 5 years. And
nope, I definitely agree.
Yeah. Well, George, hey,
the other big.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just had one more with actually doing inspections, and that, like, a lot of places, they don't do their 6-month and yearly inspection on their machines. I mean, they say they do, but they don't really do a good inspection. So that's like my pet peeve. I really need people to start doing that.
Right. That's a challenge. I think people think, well, the machine's running. Why do I need to do it?
Yep.
Because the day will come when it's not running, and it's very costly if you haven't been keeping up with it. It's a great point. George, what's next on your big scale agenda? What is the big thing that your big aha that you're working on right now?
So after these press line upgrades we're working on, I'm going to go to Detroit to install a new press, and I'm going to go to Mexico for 2 months. Oh. And then hopefully I'm going to work with our maintenance team to get to those points that we've been talking about with the planning and the training. I'm going to attempt to personally train the maintenance teams in press repair and prevention and diagnostics and all of those sorts of things. Great.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here today. It's been my pleasure to have you on here. You have provided so much great insight to our listeners and even to me. I took a bunch of notes here. I really appreciate it. Go and make it a great day.
All right. Thank you very much.